All motivation podcasts are strictly based on opinion. Any facts given should and will be backed up by a source. If a source is not given, then it should not be taken otherwise.
Now I'ma I get it until my numbers go. Till I'm just a name and a memory on my homies' wall. I be moving O's, I'm trying to just build my dough up. Till I'm just a snake, my toes up.
Welcome to the newest episode of Motivation Inspired and our special 8th and final episode of our dating series, Dating Doomed or Destined, where we are still trying to figure out if the dating world today is doomed or destined to get better. I, of course, am your host, Curtis Moore, aka Curly Mo, or of course you can call me Mo. And today's episode, as I said earlier, is a very special one. For the first time since doing a podcast, I am going to have guests on the show. A male and a female to give their perspective on certain aspects of the dating world. So please tune in as I interview them for this special episode I call Male versus Female, the ongoing battle of the sexes. We would like to welcome y'all to Motivation Inspired. I have two guests that are going to give you their perspective on the dating world today as we continue our series, Dating Doomed or Destined. I'll be interviewing them and they will give their perspective. Okay, so today my guests are currently in a relationship and have been dating for a while now. And I'm happy to say, because I'm excited because they're my best friends, they are engaged. But we will let them tell you how long they've been together. I have with me today Kevis Wright and Andrea Shumpert.
Hello.
Welcome y'all to my show. Thank you for joining me today. Now, Kevis, give us a little background. Where do you work and how old are you and whatever you want to give.
Well, first of all, thank you again for having us on. My name is Kevis Wright. I am 39 years old, getting close to 40.
Yes.
I currently work at Toyota Boshiku, Mississippi in Manatee.
Unfortunately. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. Go ahead.
And I am dating and soon to be marrying Andrea Shumpert. We've been together now for close to 4 years now, dating wise. And so that's pretty much all I can tell you about me. No kids. I'm sorry, no children.
Yeah. Well, I thank you, Kevis. And me and Kevis has known each other actually for a long time through the CME church. But we really became close when we started working together at Toyota Boshiku. And we have been close ever since. We have a lot of the same interests and everything. And even with the different interests, we just became real close. And the reason why I get so giddy is because Kevis is such a good guy. Like I said, I've known him a while. And finally, he has just as good a woman named Andrea Shumpert. Now, Andrea, I haven't known you that long, but what I have known of you, I really like about you. You're so humble and just a really good person. And I want you to tell the audience about you.
Okay, well, yes. Nice to talk with you today, Curtis. Of course, you all know my name's Andrea Shumpert from Plantersville, Mississippi.
Oh, yeah.
Been living over here in this house now for over 40 years now.
Oh,
I am 45 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I have my master's in art education.
All right.
I'm a photographer, licensed.
You got to take some pictures.
Of course.
Yes.
I do several things like crochet. I do ceramics. I can make jewelry. Just do a ton of things. It's just all about art.
All right.
That's just what art is.
Yes,
But
yes.
at the moment, I'm not employed right now because I am disabled because I do have epilepsy.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's okay. I have a part-time job because of my condition, so I completely understand it. But from the talent that you have, I can already tell that you have a lot getting ready to go for you and my boy Kivas. So I'm excited to have y'all on my show today.
Yeah. Thank
Keep
you.
it happening.
Thank you.
No problem, no problem. So, a little background about your dating. How long have y'all been dating, and where did y'all meet?
Well, actually, it was through my first cousin, Pam White.
Okay.
She sent me a text
Mm-hmm.
back, I believe it was either in November or December of 2019.
Okay.
And she asked me, she said, would you, she asked me, was I single?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, yes. And she said, would you like to date someone? I said, sure. And she told me, what he looked like and everything. Just this is all through text.
Mm-hmm.
And she said he's a very good guy, very quiet,
Yeah.
but he's a good guy. I said, okay, cool. And she gave me his number.
Okay.
So I sent him a text. Back I think it was December 19th,
Mm-hmm.
2019.
Okay. All right.
The first text that we sent to each other actually was pictures
All right.
of each other. So that we could see, who we were talking to.
Right.
So we
Right.
wouldn't be lying to each other.
Exactly.
And so it kicked off from there. December 19th, 2019. But we didn't actually go out. We were just dating actually through text messages, basically.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the first time that I met him
Mm-hmm.
was January 11th,
Yeah.
2020.
Okay.
And we went on our first date to Olive Garden. Because we
Okay.
love Olive Garden.
Ah, so both of y'all love Olive Garden.
Yes, yes, we do.
All
We love
right.
Olive Garden.
Well, I'm
And
gonna.
so, yeah, it was a good date. Very good date.
That's good. That's great. Now I'm gonna let Kivas tell us a little about your first date, and Kivas, how you felt when you met this wonderful woman.
Well, of course, from my side, I would say because her cousin introduced her. She actually works for my brother
Yeah.
up at the central office of the school district.
Mm-hmm.
And so and he told me about her as well, and gave me her number and said expect a call from her and all that. So
Mm-hmm.
from her, that was from her end, and this was from my end to get us started.
Right.
As far as the date is concerned, everything went well. When I first met her, I was nervous.
Of course.
Again, because I haven't been dating, and by then I wasn't dating for quite a while. So
Right.
I was a little nervous. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but then, like I said, I met her. We started talking, exchanging information, starting to get to know each other.
Uh-huh.
What our likes and our dislikes were.
Right.
And of course, like she said, we met at Olive Garden for dinner, and everything went really well.
Oh, that's great. That's great. It sounds like it
and,
really
that, and that's really how all this started. So
Well, I am totally excited. Before we get into the dating questions, have either of you been married? And if you have, has it been once, or how many times have you been married?
I have never been married.
Okay.
and this will be my second marriage. I was previously married some years ago.
Okay. I understand. Well, that gives me all the ignition that I need. So we're going to get into the dating questions. I like just to give a background. I have been doing my dating series, Dating Doomed or Destined, where we are trying to figure out if the dating world is doomed today or is it destined to get better. And so I did quite a few episodes this year, and I'm going to start out saying this one. And these questions are based on like I said, previous podcasts I have done, and I just want to get your perspective on things. So Kivas, I did a podcast stating that you get what you give, where I said in order to get the partner that you want, you have to be willing to give the same thing. How true do you think that is, and why do you think that is?
Well, I think that is true. And just like in a marriage, we always hear marriage is 50-50. It's give and take. It's pretty much like that when you start out in a relationship as well.
Right.
It's not as serious right then because you're not sharing things like a house, cars, and kids and all that stuff.
Right.
So I would say whatever you put into the relationship is what you'll be getting back, because that person needs to see what kind of person you are and what kind of how nice you are and what can you do for them and then what they can do for you. Right. It all works hand in hand.
True. And Andrea, same question. How do you feel about that?
Actually, I feel really the same way. It is, you get what you give is what you receive is, what you give is what you get.
Right.
And I think that one thing, mine came with prayer.
Right.
And patience. Because I had been heartbroken over the years from trying to date guys, but the guys just wanting only one thing from me.
Right.
And so I got tired of that. So, but praying for a good God-fearing man, and then actually getting him, God giving him to me, it's been a blessing.
Right.
It's been a true blessing, because I even prayed for what my man was going to look like. Yeah, but before he was going to look like something, I prayed for how he was going to act and how he was going to treat me. Because I'm not going to be I'm not a fool. Right. I'm not a fool. Because I have given myself. When I was younger, I had given myself to men thinking that they had really liked me, and they only wanted just one thing from me.
Right.
But doing that and learning from that has brought me to appreciate this blessing more, and to know how God gives. Because it's what you pray for. You get what you pray for.
Exactly.
You do receive it, and it's been it has been a true blessing to be in this relationship, because he's actually it's been a strength for me.
And that's great. But
for me as well, because she brought out some more things out of me that I didn't think were possible either. So it works both ways. Yeah.
But that's what a relationship is supposed to do. It's supposed to bring out the best in you, and it's also supposed to ground you. Like, for instance, when Kivas is making a mistake, you're there to acknowledge that mistake and help build him up, not tear him down. And the same vice versa. So when you're actually in a loving and God-fearing relationship, a good relationship that's not based on just your wants but your needs, then you have that. And Andrea, I like when you said that you prayed for Kivas and you were specific about what you prayed for. Now, some of my listeners is not really that big on God, but as far as God and manifestation, you got to be specific on exactly what you want. Me, I'm a God fearing man, so the Bible states that you're supposed to pray for what you want and be specific about it. Don't give just a shady prayer. You got to be specific about what you want. And you did just that. And because you did just that, you was blessed with this young man. That's a good friend of mine. But to bounce off on that question, because like I said, we got quite a few. Um, Andrea, what are some of your expectations, and how would you match them?
Um, what I expect from Kivas is just to continue, just really to be himself.
Right.
Just to be more. He can be just as comfortable with me as he wants to be because he has already become comfortable with me.
Right.
And we do make decisions together now.
Great. That's great.
And which is a good thing because I was the type of person when I was younger and single, making the wrong decisions and jumping to decisions on my own and not getting a second opinion about some things. But with being in a relationship is what I somewhat expect from him is to continue to, just to walk with me side by side.
Right.
Holding hands. And helping make a decision together, not just individually.
Right. So basically, what you're saying is, you were one way at one point, and now that you are with Kivas, you had to kind of modify and change that a little bit, compromise, in other words.
Yes. Yes.
And that's what's important. A lot of people these days don't learn how to compromise. It's either their way or the highway. But a true, mature relationship, you learn how to compromise. And even if you disagree on things, you learn to agree to disagree. And at the end of the day, y'all still unified. And Keith, it's the same for you. What are your expectations of Andrea, and how would you match them?
Well, I would bounce out. Like I said, I agree with her when she said just to be yourself. I just asked for her to be herself and be the woman that I came to fall in love with and continue to fall in love with.
Right.
And I think that's very important because once you kind of deviate, like she said, not be yourself and deviate from the way you were, the way that person fell in love with you. If you deviate from that, then you're going to end up not falling in love with them, kind of fall out of love with them, and that relationship starts to go rocky.
Right.
So that's why she said, be yourself, be that person that you fell in love with the first time, and to top that off too, you have to have God in your relationship. And like she said, she prayed for a man. She prayed for who she wanted and how she wanted him to be.
Right.
And so, and I prayed for her myself. Not to the degree that she did for me, but I did pray for someone to be with me, to be a godly person.
Right.
And so what I say is that that's important because, like you said, if you don't have God as part of your relationship, and that person starts to deviate or starts to, kind of turn their behavior from what you fell in love with, then it's easy to just fall out of love with them and just leave them.
Right, exactly. I thank y'all for y'all's answers on that one. Now we're going to get into social media. We're going to skip kids, not because neither of you have kids, but like I said, I'm kind of picking and choosing the different questions we're going to do. So we're going to talk about social media because social media today is playing a huge role in a normal person's daily life. Now, Andrea, do you think it is affecting dating negatively or positively or both? And explain why you feel that way.
Well, I feel like it's hurting the dating situation because people are putting their business out there too much, their personal business,
Mm-hmm.
and you with your personal life, you shouldn't expose that too much,
right,
to the world. You should speak with that about that, with just one person,
right,
and get a comment about that, because when you get because on the social media, a lot of people are just going to start looking at you wrong. They're going to, just just pulling away from you. You don't really want that to happen and all of that.
mm-hmm.
But I think that, and then in a way, it could be good if we were looking at it the same way.
Right.
But we're not. But because everybody has an opinion.
You're right. You're so
right.
And
that's what we're going to do, is give our first opinion about what we see.
Exactly.
And it's just you shouldn't do that. So I think the social media is hurting. It's hurting the dating world.
Right, right. And Kivas, how do you feel about that? And how do you feel about posting aspects of your relationship on social media?
And I feel the same way with her. I think social media does definitely hurt the dating scene. The only reason I think about that is because it sort of deviates too from the old school way of things. You
right.
Remember we get to call, everybody and stuff, and meet up and call and everything.
Oh yeah.
Well, social media kind of however way you use it, it can help you, but it also can hurt you in a negative way as well.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to, if you end up breaking up with that significant other, they're gonna start posting stuff about you on social media. They're gonna start scandalizing your name and throwing your name under the bus in so many ways. Like I said, social media can definitely hurt you that way. It just depends on how you use it.
Right. Right.
It can be a helpful tool, but we as people have used it to a point where it can hurt us as well, big time.
Yes, and that's what I stated in my podcast. I mean, I feel like the same way that both of you do as of today, but I also feel like that, like you said, Kivas, it could help you and it could hurt you. If people would use it in the right manner, I feel like it could help you. Like Andrew, you said people shouldn't be posting their business on social media and stuff, and I agree with that, because it's hard enough in your daily life with people around you always getting in your business, always telling you what you should and shouldn't do. But then on top of that, if you're posting your business on social media, then you're going to have a lot more of that. And I feel like that it hurts the relationship, because it'll be based more on people's thoughts than your own. So both of y'all do think that social dating would be better without social media, or how do y'all feel?
I would say in this day and time, it probably wouldn't be better without social media, because a lot of people are now just used to social media. It's sort of become second nature.
Right.
Sort of a thing that you really can't just, rip out of society.
Right.
Like if you're trying to, get off, trying to quit smoking or quit drinking or something, you just can't do it right away. It's got to be slowly. You just can't do that with social media.
Right.
It's too far ingrained within our society to get rid of. So I would say, as of now, in this day and time, yeah, it's going to hurt. But like I said earlier too, you just got to know how to use it in order to be a helpful tool.
Right, right. And Andrea, your thoughts?
Well, I feel the same way, because social media has hurt us in a lot of ways, because that's all that you hear actually on TV. Social media this social media do that, and all, things like that. And for me, I'm the way that I was raised, and what I see now, and I'm actually seeing what my parents and what my family has spoken with me about, because they say that, hey, it takes a village to raise a child.
Right.
And what they taught with us is that when social media came out, they were like, this is just too much. It's just too much exposure.
Mm-hmm.
So what I think about social media is that social media, we need to start over.
Right.
We leave social media alone.
Mm-hmm.
And let it go. Now, although I do post the scripture on there every day, and I post positive things on there, sometimes, I'll do that. But use social media for what it's for. Use it for the good. Don't use it for the bad.
Right.
Use it for the good.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want something good to happen, use it. Say something good. Don't bring out your personal life in it, because that's why social media has brought us down, because we've posted so many personal things on there,
mm-hmm.
and it's just brought us down. But I feel like social media is really hurting the dating the dating, and I think that dating should just start over.
Right.
Old school.
Right. I feel the same way. I mean, there is some aspects today that I feel like that would help, but I'm like y'all, and maybe it's because we're the same age, but I feel like that the dating world would be better if they went back to the old school way of things. The male pursuing his female, and not trying to get something out of it, but trying to find a partner. Because nowadays, we're not looking for a partner. We're looking for somebody that will appease us. And we'll get more into that in a little while. I'm going to ask one more question. We're going to take a quick break after that, and then we're going to get into some juicy stuff.
Okay.
But do you, Kivas, do you think the roles of partners have changed for the better or for worse? And how do you feel about that?
I would say in this day and time, it has changed. I would say for the worse, and not to really bash on the LGBTQ plus community, but that's really where your role reversals sort of come in, because you have all these, same-sex relationships and stuff, mm-hmm. and you kind of figure out who is who.
Right.
And that's really what's messing things up as far as the roles, of a man and of a woman are in that aspect.
Right.
But as far as like in a man and a woman relationship, I would say in some ways it is hurting, but I would say it's still also the man knows where he's supposed to be in the relationship, and the woman knows where she's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. Now, there are some women who will probably want to take control of the relationship more than the men.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the men can allow that.
Right.
So there, in that aspect, yeah, that the roles can be, a problem. But at the same time, it can be also, a solution too, because the man knows what he has to do and the woman knows what she has to do. It's just a matter of them getting together and figuring out what you're going to do, what we're going to do here, what we're going to do there. Like with me and Andrea, mm-hmm. we know where we are in our relationship. We know our roles.
Mm-hmm.
And even though, like I said, I'm the head of the household or the head of the relationship, mm-hmm. she's there to support me, and I'm there to support her in anything and everything.
Right. And before I give my opinion, Andrea, about what do you think? Have the roles of the partners have changed for the better or for the worse? And why do you feel that way?
Yeah, I think it has changed for the worse. Not just stating, just for, the lesbian gay couples or, things like that. Mm-hmm. But honestly, all couples now, it has changed for the worse, mm-hmm. because we're not looking at who's the head of the household, mm-hmm. or, not looking at, just as a man being the head of the household or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at it, who has the most money.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And it's about that. And we look too much about about money. Who makes the money? Who can make all of these decisions? We'll put too much pressure on one person because a puzzle doesn't come with one piece.
Right.
A puzzle comes with either whatever size the puzzle is, it's two or more pieces. And when you put those pieces together as properly as they should be, it works. It comes out as a good picture.
Right.
But if you put them together wrong, it's going to be an ugly picture. So, and if you only have like one piece,
right,
you're not going to have a puzzle.
Exactly.
You're going to have a problem. So that's how I feel about it. It's just that it's just gone overboard. It's just wrong now. It's just wrong now.
And I think for me, I think it's a lot of it has to do with that people are not understanding what it means by the male being head of the household and the female being supportive. They think that male being the head of the household means the male controls everything. And that is not the case. You can have a very independent female that is submissive to the male. And submissive doesn't mean that female has to follow what the male says. Basically, what it means is that the female is going to allow herself to come together with the male and say, okay, I trust you enough that whatever decision that you, or whatever final decision that you make, that we're going to do it together. That is going to be the right decision. Same as if a male has their mindset on one decision, that doesn't mean that the female shouldn't come up and tell him, I think that you're wrong. Because the female can give her perspective in a way that a male doesn't see. Because a female's mind and emotions is a lot broader than a male's.
Yeah.
So a lot of people think that that's when you talk about submission and when you talk about head of the household, that you're talking about one being in control of the other, and that's not the case. Because when you come together unified, and if you pray about it, then you're going to have unity despite, like I said before, disagreements. You can agree to disagree, but when it boils down to it, you're still coming together and you're still working together and supporting each other regardless.
Right.
Yes.
So right now we're going to take about a 5 to 10 minute break, and then when we come back, like I said, we're going to get in some juicy stuff. So audience, y'all stay tuned and we'll be right back. And welcome back to Motivation Inspired, where we're getting the male and female perspective of dating. And we're just going to jump right back into the questions. Okay, we're going to get to the juicy stuff now. I did a podcast on sexual chemistry. It was called Let's Talk About Sex, Baby. It was kind of a uncensored podcast, but it got real deep into sexual chemistry. Now, the question I have for you, I'm going to start with Andrea on this one. Andrea, what priority would you put sex in the dating world?
Don't put it first.
Right.
Do not. That's a low priority because, like I said before, in the past dating world that I was in, that's all the guys wanted, and I started to feel like a whore.
Right.
And I let that go. I gave my body back to God. I became a born again virgin. So I said the next time that I have sex with a man, it will be my husband.
That sounds good. I love it. Kivas, same question. How would you prioritize sex in the dating world today?
Well, in the dating world, I'd say for some relationship, it probably is a middle to high priority.
Mm-hmm.
But taking our relationship, for example, like she said, it is a low priority because that's not what it's all about. And that, to me, that's not what it's all about for me as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're willing to have sex with that person, you really say, I'm giving a piece of myself to you.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And you have to be willing to spend your life with that person.
Right.
And that's how I feel about her, because I don't want it to be just like, oh, I'm just going to have sex with her, have a good time, whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I love her dearly.
Right.
And I want what we have, I want it to be special.
That's great. That is great. So, for both of you, would you prioritize sex as low priority, middle ground priority, or a high priority?
I'd say middle. Okay. As far as us, I say low to middle, because again, we don't want to base our relationship on sex, because it's based on the love that we have for each other,
mm-hmm.
and the respect that we have for each other.
Right.
And like I said, now there'll be times when we like to spice up the mood and everything, and that comes with time, and that comes with being with that person,
mm-hmm.
and how far along in your relationship it goes. But yeah, it's important, but I'd say for us, it's like the low to middle priority.
Okay. And Andrea, you feel the same way?
Yes, actually I do, because this is like, Kivas is my best friend.
Right.
Because you don't go out and have sex with all of your friends.
Mm-hmm.
You don't do that. And Kivas is like, hey, he became my best friend before my fiance.
Mm-hmm.
We were friends, best friends, and now he's my fiance.
Right.
And so I think it's a low to mid priority, because it's really not like we have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because some people will say that they have to do that. They're like, oh, you're in a boring relationship if you don't. And I'm like, no, what?
Right.
No, it's not all about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not all about that. Don't make it all about that, because if you do, you'll be looking for that all the time, and then you'll lose it.
Right. Exactly.
You'll lose it.
Now we're gonna get into a tough question about the same thing. Kivas. Look, I'm messing up.
There you go.
Kivas, do you think it is important to have great sexual chemistry with your partner?
It's kind of, I would say it depends, because, and I guess I say that because you have to know the person you're going to be with first, and how, sex is involved with them, mm-hmm. and everything. And it's kind of a tough thing to kind of gauge, because, especially if it's your first time, and then that person's first time, you don't really know what you're getting into and what you're doing or whatnot.
Right.
But then there's also people who have had sex plenty of times before, and the other person has too, and they be looking for a level of sexual pleasure from the other, and it's sort of kind of hard to get that balance, because one person is expecting something and the other person is expecting the other thing. And then this goes back to, like I said, about our relationship. Like, we know where we are, and I would say we don't really have to have great sex, but it happens naturally. Let me put it that way. It happens naturally. It's sort of hard to explain, though.
Right. I completely understand.
Yeah.
Andrea, what you think?
What I feel is just like you don't have to do it. Honestly, I can do it, but I don't have to have it. Because I don't have to beg him for, look for him, to do that. with me all the time.
Right.
It doesn't have to be like just that top thing, just all what we do all the time.
Mm-hmm.
No, you don't have to do that, because, like I said before, you'll lose it. Just it's like you don't do that. He is my he like I said, we became friends. We were friends first.
Mm-hmm.
Then my best friend.
Right.
And now my fiance.
Mm-hmm.
It's like and then when you have, like you said, like with the chemistry of it and everything, that comes naturally.
Right.
And that's something. And then some people try to make up things that they've done and all of that stuff. They try to talk about it all the time and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, that's just something that went on between me and him. I'm not going to talk about that with anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And let me add this to what she was saying too, Curtis.
Okay.
So like she said, you can't force it upon, because if you try starting to force it and trying to find it like that, somewhere, some way, it's going to hurt that balance. It's going to hurt that chemistry.
Right.
And you're going to end up falling apart. So you can't do it too many times. It just got to come.
Yeah, like, that's what I'm saying. Like I said, it has to come naturally, because if you go out there looking for it, you're not gonna get what you want. You out there looking.
Right.
You're not gonna everything that you find is not beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
You can that's what I was looking for, and that's what I got.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you become disappointed.
Right.
And you don't want to be disappointed. You don't want to be heartbroken. You don't want to be hurt. Like that or anything. Mm-hmm. So it's like you just let it be, because it's gonna come naturally anyway.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I think that's the problem with a lot of people nowadays, is that they don't let it come naturally. They already have their mind made up on what they're wanting out of a partner sexually, and they don't let it come naturally. And one of the things I did discuss on that specific podcast was that people will turn around and not discuss their sexual relationship between their partner. Like, if you find that women nowadays, if a man is not up to their standards in bed, instead of talking to that man about it, they're going talking to their friends about it. Or the same thing with men. Men, if it's not to their standard, or if it's a female acting a certain way, then he's going to talk to his boys about it. But they get offended, like when you're talking about it amongst the relationship, they, number one, get offended by talking about it, and number two, don't know how to talk about it. I found that some females will turn around and say, be blunt about, oh, you're nothing but a 2-minute man. You know what I'm saying? Why are you telling somebody that you love, talking to them like that?
Right.
Or a man turn around and say, well, I could get all these different women and do this for me. Why would you do that to somebody that you're supposedly wanting to spend the rest of your life with? And then it turns around, like y'all was saying before, nobody's compromising. Nobody is compromising. You got to be able to compromise. Be able to talk about it. Andrea ought to be able to talk to Kivas and say, well, Kivas, I like it when you do this certain thing to me. Or I don't like it when you do this certain thing. Or Kivas say, well, Andrea, I like it when you do this with me. Or I would at least want you to try this with me. Nobody's talking anymore. Nobody's conversating. Or the main word, communicating.
Yeah. And we're trying to act like psychics on each other.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Pretty much, and if you do it correctly, more times than not, it will come second nature between the two of you.
Yeah.
Right. And then the main thing is what y'all said earlier before the break. When you're praying for that specific partner, and God brings you that specific partner, or if you're all about the universe bringing you whatever, then if y'all are meant to be together, and if God brings y'all together, then the sexual chemistry is going to be there because, like y'all said, it will be natural.
Mm-hmm.
It will naturally come. Now, in saying that, I'm not saying that when y'all get into bed right off the bat, it's just going to be great. It may or may not be great, but if you have a good partner that really cherishes and loves you and you can talk about those things, it can turn into greatness.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
Okay, Andrea, as a woman, what is your biggest turn off when it comes to the first time you get sexual in a dating relationship?
What was the biggest turn off?
Yes.
Well, like I said, when I was in college, the biggest turn off was a man not telling me that he loved me.
Mm-hmm.
That was the biggest turn off.
Right.
And then not ever hearing from him again.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest turn off. And then that's what I told you. I'm like, oh no, I feel like a whore.
Right. Mm-hmm.
No, that was the biggest turn off for me. No, I feel like you're a whore. And then that's the only time that he would want to call me.
Right.
It's for that. I'm like, no.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to do that.
Right.
I'm not going to do that.
And Kivas, what do you think? What, as a man, what is the biggest turnoff when it comes to the first time you get sexual in a dating relationship?
Oh, that is a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
That is very tough one, and I'm going to have to. I'm going to have to. Well, I'm going to say have to pass on it because I really don't have much of a turnoff because again, once that moment happens, and when you get all off in the moment, I mean, it's just gonna be like, woo,
right?
You know, like, you're gonna be enjoying the moment.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's not much of a turnoff for me. It's just that if it gets real good, and we're in the moment, hey, we're in the moment. It's gonna be wonderful.
Right. And you're gonna find a lot of you really. Let's just be honest. A lot of women find more turn off. I found that women find more women find more turn off than men. I'm not saying that's the case in all cases, but what I found is that most of the time you're gonna find more women with turnoffs than more men, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you hear all the time, men is more simple minded than women. Women have more of a complex mind.
Right.
And like I said, it's not a bad thing, but it's actually a thing that I found most. Because I mean, I've asked different men and women, and I found that more women have turnoffs than men. Be like, oh well, I'm fine with everything.
Right.
And it's crazy. But you're gonna find that a lot of times in relationships, or men just ain't gonna talk about their turnoffs.
Well, now that I've thought about it a little bit more, I can tell you the turnoff I would say I would have, especially if you're doing it like for the first time or whatnot, and if that significant other isn't satisfied or whatnot, it kind of turns you off as well.
Right.
You're trying to figure out why is it me, is it her, you know, something like that. So I would say that would be a turn off for me. Like I want not only to me be satisfied, but to you be satisfied as well.
Right.
If you're not satisfied, I'm not satisfied, and that turns me off as well.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I get that because me being the person that I am, for me, my biggest turn off was when I couldn't please a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And I went above it. I was the type of person, and I know y'all probably thinking, I don't want to hear this. but just being real, I was the type of person that I did whatever and however I could to please a woman. And when I didn't do that, it would make me so frustrated because that's how in tune with women I was. That's how I wasn't that selfish male. I was that type of male that wanted my woman satisfied. So if I felt like I didn't satisfy her or she would give me the impression that I didn't satisfy her, I would feel some type of way or I would be upset or frustrated because it was a turnoff when my woman wasn't satisfied. And I feel like that for females, it's the same. It's the same thing. You know, Andrea, I'm pretty sure. You know, not getting in your business, but I'm pretty sure there was times where men have left you unsatisfied, and they didn't care nothing about it. And you find out a lot of these in the dating world. Men don't try to satisfy their women. And that's why women are going to different things. That's why that's why all these toys is out here.
Yep.
That's why you're finding women going to women. That's why you find women being more or talkative about, hey, I'm not I don't need no man. I just need myself. So
well, I must tell you that I don't have a toy. I'm not going to another woman. No.
Well, I mean, you find that nowadays.
You do find it nowadays, but you don't find it in me.
Right. Another, and I didn't have this as a question, but this is something that I think we kind of discussed too. How do y'all feel about sex toys in the relationship?
No.
Yeah.
I feel that there's really no place for them because if you have to have a toy or something like that or something inanimate to make you feel good like that, then there's really no need.
Yeah. Like what you said, you can satisfy yourself.
Right.
You can just satisfy yourself, and he wouldn't have to satisfy me.
Right.
Like, no, not a toy.
Well, this is my opinion, and this is what I have stated in my podcast. First, I'm gonna say this: toys is supposed to be an accessory and not a substitution. I feel like that if you want to spice up your sex life with toys, there's nothing wrong with spicing it up. But where I feel like the problem comes in at is people are using it as a substitution. They're using it so often and so much to get that orgasm that you're taking away from the skin-to-skin intimacy. And what good? Reason why a lot of women is not getting satisfied is because you're using toys so much that when a man finally does come and have sex with you, you're not really feeling or you're not really getting fulfilled the way that you would with the toy because your coochie is so used to the toy. Men is using these other things to get off rather than using their sexual intimacy, skin-to-skin intimacy. And it's becoming a problem. So my opinion on toys is that toys can be an accessory in the bedroom as long as you use it as an accessory to the bedroom.
Correct.
Right. If my girl, we're in the bedroom and it's our anniversary and stuff, and I want to get a vibrator to kind of spice things up, then that's fine. But using it all the time, it's going to take away from your skin-to-skin intimacy.
Right.
And that's just my opinion. Now I know a lot of people's gonna hear this and be like, whatever, blah 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 blah. But that's my opinion.
Right.
Yes.
That's,
Yes.
I think too. That's probably why they're created to like you said, be an aiding tool to sexual relationships instead of just being the main thing that just gets you off, like you said.
right.
Yeah, because like I feel it's like a toy is a toy that's plastic.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have a life in it. But touching someone physically with their spirit, with their soul in them, is totally different.
Right.
Because I've touched a dead body before. I'm like, oh, that's not that person. I'm speaking about my sister that had passed. And when I touched her body, I'm like, whoa, that's not my sister anymore. But touching Kivas, holding his hand, it feels good.
Right.
I feel his life. I feel his life, his soul in me.
Right.
His spirit is here. That's how I feel about it.
Right. And I feel you 100% on that. Now this is going to be addressed towards Kivas. Kivas, you were once married and you have been through a divorce. Now, after you went through your divorce, how long did it take you to get back into the dating situation?
Well, and like I said, it's been how many years now? Now it's been 11 since I would say 11 since I've been divorced, but I didn't really just jump right out there, afterwards because I kind of needed to recover from the marriage because it did not work out the way we intended to. Me and my ex-wife, that is.
Right.
And we had to go our separate ways, and at that time, I had to step away too. I had to just be by myself and figure out what I need to do and all that.
Right.
And so sometimes that's what you have to do is just be by yourself and learn to love yourself again before you step back out there in the dating world.
Right.
And
go ahead.
I would say it took me about another, I'd say 3 to 4 years before I had a little on again, off again sort of relationship sort of thing, but it didn't last too long. And like I said, I had other people helping me out by hooking me up on blind dates and everything, and that didn't really kind of get anywhere. So, and then like I said, nothing really happened until, like as Andrew said earlier, when we first met. So, like I said, I didn't get out there originally right back out there, but eventually I did. And again, years later passed, and like I said, I met Andrea, and the rest is history.
Right. And so you would say that it changed. Would you say that it changed your aspect after you've been married and divorced? Did it change your aspect in dating, or would you say did you kind of have the same aspect and did it change your standards as well?
Well, I would say it changed it in a multitude of levels for me.
Right.
As far as marriage, divorce, dating. Like I said, dating wise, you do what you. I see what I was doing okay on and trying to do what I could for my significant other and whatnot. And a lot of times, what you do, you have to keep doing in order to make your relationship stronger.
Right.
And I know in my first marriage, there were things that I did do well, but then things that I didn't do well, and it was vice versa. And like I said, it just didn't working out.
Right.
And so going through the divorce as well, you kind of hit a wall too, because you like I said, I don't want my next marriage or my next relationship to end up like our marriage was.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you can get a fear in that too.
Right.
And let that fear overcome you most of the time. But that's also why you have to stay with God and let Him guide you to where you need to go.
Right. Exactly.
Because if you don't, if you just jump right on out there, not recovering from your last relationship or whatnot, then you're going to have a chance to end up getting heartbroken again.
That's true.
So that's why it's just take time out for yourself,
mm-hmm.
and also wait for God to bring along that person. And you may not know when, but I mean he'll point you in the right direction, and certainly He did that for me as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I said, I didn't know, but eventually, He pointed me in the right direction.
Right.
But yeah, I would say yes. On the aspects of divorce, yeah, it does affect you, and like I said, it kind of scares you to get back out there to try and marry someone again.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't let that overtake you as well. So
right. And I feel the exact same way. As far as the aspect on my end, once you've been married, then this is what I explained in my podcast. Once you have been married, it's like you have been at the top of the mountain.
Right.
So when you get a divorce and you get back into the dating world, no matter how long it takes, you've already been to the top of the mountain. You already know what marriage is like, what to expect, even though each marriage is different. But they still have the basis of the same basic actions and stuff.
Correct.
So whenever you get back out into the dating world, your aspects of dating changes because you already know what marriage is. So for me, this is my personal experience. For me, when I got back in the dating world, I was less tolerant of certain things. You could say one thing that quickly turns me off, and I cut you real quick. Whereas before, you could say one thing, and because I was that person, the hero complex type person that I explained in my other podcast, I would overlook it and say, well, I see the best in this person. Well, I see the best in this person. But just because you see the best in this person doesn't mean that they do, which means that they're not going to act as the best of themselves. Right. So whenever you're talking about, now that I've been married and been divorced and everything, now when I get into dating, it's like, well, this person talks like they just want money. Gone. This person doesn't like kids. Gone. This person doesn't eat like me. Gone. I mean, it just gets to a point where you know what you're looking for now, and you don't tolerate these things.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I appreciate your answer because a lot of people don't understand how deep it is when you get a divorce. Like I said in my other podcast, divorce is not no breakup. Divorce is not no simple or a bad breakup. Divorce is a spiritual thing because marriage is a spiritual thing. No matter how people treat it, it's still a spiritual thing. I didn't realize how deep divorce was and how hurtful divorce was until I went through it myself. People like, it's just papers. No, it's not just papers. You're actually going through stuff spiritually.
Right. Yes.
So I do appreciate that.
And it's not just like you just said, not just paperwork and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You have not just you and your significant other, your spouse's life. Think about a lot of times kids are involved.
Right.
that's what really complicates things
Mm-hmm.
when you have children involved.
It does.
Because they're looking for, oh, I want to be with daddy, no, I want to be with mommy. You have to find that balance as well, and that's why divorces are really impactful.
Right. It's very, very impactful.
Mm-hmm.
So I always tell people now, because I thought I knew what divorce was before I actually went through it, and now I'm able to tell people it's not as simple as you think it is.
Right.
It's not as simple as you think it is. You won't understand it until you actually go through it.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So I thank you for your answer on that. Now, Andrea, before when we was talking at the beginning of the podcast, you said that you're disabled and that you're not able to work. But before that, you did kind of have sort of a career. And what was that career before that?
Yeah. Well, it's actually photography right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's photography right now, but during this time of the year, it's really not a lot of photography.
Right.
Just because of the seasons, because you really can't go outside. I like to take nature photos.
Mm-hmm.
And I do need to work really on next year to get one of my books, one of my portfolios copyrighted. Although I do have one picture that's copyrighted.
Okay.
But I like to do like a lot of outside photos. That is my one career that I do have, but not bragging on myself.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're multi-talented, it's kind of hard to choose which thing you want to do. No, it really is.
It really is. I laugh because I'm the same way.
Yeah, yes, you're having more than one talent, and you're like, I'm like, oh shoot, because Kivas knows I have 2 cameras,
right?
And Kivas sits here watching me crochet.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't see me do ceramics, but he's seen some of my ceramic work.
Right.
Kivas has seen my jewelry work.
Mm-hmm.
And Kivas has seen my drawings, my paintings.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, and when you're an artist, people are gonna come to you.
Right.
And ask you, oh, can you do it? Ooh, think you can make this? Ooh. And I'm like, oh my gosh, do you not know? that takes some time and some effort.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, one job that I really liked, and that although I am disabled right now, but I'm getting better.
Right.
I'm getting better.
Right.
But with being with Kivas, he's helping me work on my patience.
Right.
Anyway, the one job that I'm looking into going back to is being the director of a dorm.
Mm-hmm.
And because when I was going to Alabama A&M, I actually worked. I had that job.
Right.
Not being the director, but being the staff.
Mm-hmm.
And working for them. And what I would do with those girls at that dorm would just monitor them just to make sure that they weren't sneaking guys in the dorm, doing drugs or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I would also be like a mentor for them.
Right.
And they would come to me and ask me all kind of questions about should I do this? Should I do that? Should I date him? Should I, how am I going to do on this test? What do you think? Should I go home this weekend? I'm like, oh my gosh. But I became, because I was somewhat close to their age, I knew what they were thinking. I knew how their brain waves were going, what way they were thinking and everything.
Right.
So I could give them good answers. And to this day, I'm still friends with some of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but see, I missed that job. That's the one job that I really do miss.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Now I've worked for an airline before. Mm-hmm. That's good benefits too.
Right.
But it was a stress, although it was a stress when I moved up to another position in that. Mm-hmm. But knowing how to work for an airline now, knowing what to do and how to work for them and to enjoy those benefits, I would work for an airline again.
Right.
And put my talents on the side to have, that being, like some side money, like a little side hustle.
Right.
because having your own business. Although Curtis, you're doing good. You're doing good. Do your thing.
I'm
But me being a business owner, I don't know if I could be a business owner. I don't know. It's kind of tough. I got my business cards, but that's
it's tough, and
it's tough.
I haven't even gotten into the gut of things yet. I'm like I said, I'm still trying. Like you said, when you have so many talents, it's hard to figure out which way you want to go with your talent. So as far as my business, it's hard for me to figure out which way. I'm kind of getting there now after looking at certain things, but it's kind of hard to figure out which way you want to go.
Yeah.
As you were talking about your careers, different careers, you brought up Kivas, and you said how he supported you and things, which brings me to my question. Did dating, even if it was before Kivas or whatever, did dating ever interfere with your career?
I guess I can say, like, the first guy that was, I can't even say it was dating. It was probably just a crush. Because I had really never had anyone that wanted to date me. They just wanted, like, one thing from me.
Right.
And that was it. So I never had really been dating before. And I would always hear from my college friends and then some of my good friends and then from my family is like, you'll know a good man when you get one.
Yes.
Just pray for him and everything. And I have to say that after a little while, I kind of like just said, I told you I gave my body back to God and everything. And I have to say that with dating, I had to be patient with it.
Right.
I didn't look at it. I had to let that heartbreak go, let those other guys down and everything, and say, hey, I'm not gonna be a whore or anything like that. And then I had to just look at it like that. I'm like, hey, if he comes, he comes. If he don't, he don't. I'll just be single for the rest of my life and everything like that.
Right.
But yeah, and then after getting that call from my cousin, that text message, her asking me that, waiting that long for him, it's just been a blessing. It's been a blessing.
Right.
Because I hadn't given up on men, but just because somebody would want to just come up and talk to me, doesn't mean that I would, just want to talk to them. It was kind of like my cousin told me about Kivas. It was kind of like I felt something.
Right.
I'm not a psychic, but I'm like, but they say your gut. Your gut. Your gut will guide you.
Right.
Yeah, your gut will tell you everything, what to do and what not to do. And I felt it in my gut. And I was like, I wouldn't mind.
Right.
And so, and then I got, hey, a blessing. A blessing. After doing all those years of waiting and everything.
Right.
I've been in my 20s and my 30s, the 40s is something else. Yeah, that's why I told Keith, I'm like, hey, you're going to be, get rid of that 30s club. You're coming on to the 40s club.
Yep. You getting there, old guy.
Yeah, you come on to the 40s club. Yeah. 40s club.
Yes. I reached that 40 club this March and this past March, and I'm feeling every bit of the 40s club. It really blew me away. Like I didn't think, it's just another year, but shoot, when it hits you, it hits you.
Yeah.
It really does.
That means you sit your booty down a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
So you would say basically that being in a relationship with Kivas has helped your career because of his support.
Yeah, because of his support. Because what I want to see him do, honestly, because actually talking with him and having him, go back to school and everything
Uh-huh.
is actually pushing me to do that too. Because with all of these talents and everything that I have, and being blessed to do all of this stuff, I'm still not at that. I still didn't get that degree that I really wanted.
Right.
And that was a degree in architecture. But hey, if I don't get to go to school for architecture, I just don't get to do it.
Right.
I'll just still be blessed with my other talents and everything, have those on the side, and just do those for a living, and have like maybe like a part-time job somewhere.
Right.
Yeah. So, but that's the blessing of having talents.
Yeah.
You can choose what you want to do. Because you're not hard to train or anything like that on a new job or anything like that. So that's just the good part about having talent.
Right. All right. So we're gonna take another about a 5-minute break because this is going longer than I expected. But I got a couple more questions to end the podcast. So we'll be right. We'll be right back. All right, we are back, and this is going really great. I am excited about this episode, and Kevis and Andrea, y'all are just amazing people.
Thank you very much, sir.
No problem. Back when I used to teach my youth at Bible study when I was living back at home some years ago. And one of the things that we talked about was how God blesses you with multiple talents and blesses you with them to combine to make one big talent. And the reason why I say it like this is because he blesses you with these multiple talents to be able to do different things so that you will come into your purpose in life. You will come into your purpose in life. I kept wondering why you keep, I can write. I have published a poetry book. I'm a musician. I'm a choir director. I'm doing podcasts. I'm easy to talk to people. I can edit videos and music. I mean, I got all these different types of talents. And I'm like, God, what is it that you want me to do? And basically, I come to find out that he gives me all these different things just to be able to bless people, to be motivated and inspired.
Yes.
That's what he does. I have found one of my purposes, and one of my purposes is to be able to motivate and inspire people, whether it's through music, whether it's through writing poetry, writing stories, whether it's through talking on a podcast or interviewing people like you two that I love so dearly. All of that is to come together for a big purpose. So in getting back into the question, it's always great to have that partner to support you, because just as much as you got these talents that's blessing you, you're going to come through these storms. You're going to come through these frustrations and hard times. And I want to encourage you, because you said earlier, I don't think I could be a business owner because, this and that. I know you could be a business owner. Not saying there's going to be some storms, but just by your determination and the way that you talk and your leadership and things, and then you got a strong man to support you, and he has his own leadership skills and stuff, and he is so Kevis. And I'm not saying this just because you're on my podcast. I've always thought it. You have so much wisdom.
Oh, thank you.
So much wisdom. And so when Andrea said, just by talking to you, you have helped her, realize some things, even when I get all frustrated when I was working with you and I would snap and stuff like that or whatever, a lot of times just talking to you encouraged me.
Oh, yeah.
Because you have so much wisdom. And so seeing your happiness makes me happy because you are such a good man and have so much wisdom that you really do deserve to be blessed. So when you said, oh, I got me a lady, all those times you said those things made me really happy because you deserve it.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. But yes, Andrea, having Kivas by your side, I know it's helped you a lot. Having a career, you got to have that person that's going to support you. Because I feel like that if your partner can't support you in your career, then that's not the partner for you.
Yeah, it is. That is true.
Mm-hmm.
That is true.
I got a couple more questions, and then we're going to end the interview. And this is going to go to Kivas. What do you think the problem is in the dating world today compared to the past?
Well, just from my experience and the way I was brought up and the age that I was brought up, of course, social media was definitely absent. So,
right.
Because all you could do back in the day was just meet them somewhere and whatnot. With social media involved in this day and time, it complicates things, and it can, like I said earlier, it can mess things up and for the bad, but it can also elevate things to the good as long as you know how to use it.
Right.
And so that's why I say the dating world today, it really, really depends, because at this moment, I would say it's trending more in a negative direction. But it can certainly go to a positive direction depending on how you use it.
Right.
But that's really my take on it. The dating world is not really in real trouble, I would say, as of right now. But it can get into more trouble with the more negativity that gets spread out there on social media. So, yeah.
Right. And Andrea, how do you feel? What do you think is some problems in the dating world today compared to the past?
My take on it is basically it's the media. Because that's almost what's raising our children now. It's TV. Because when I was growing up, we did not have cable.
Yeah.
We did not have a satellite. We did not get cable until 1997. And a lot of people, they watch too much TV now.
Yes.
And with TV, everything is on there. It's telling you how you should look, what you should do, and everything, only in their opinion of how you should look and what you should do and what you shouldn't do.
Right.
And telling ourselves, like, but not going against anyone. Like, hey, if you want to be gay, be gay. That's between you and God. If you want to be a lesbian, that's between you and God. But he did say no. But it's saying okay to all of these things.
Right.
And it's just turning us away from old school. Because they think old school was boring. No, old school brought us here.
Right.
And we shouldn't. Old school is our foundation. You don't break a foundation if you want a building to stand. That's your foundation. Your foundation has to build up, and we built up, and now this building now that we have now is shaking. It's shaking.
Very.
So, and yeah, and social media is making it shake. The media is making it shake.
Yeah.
It's because it's going their way and only their way. It's either their way or the highway. You know, we're telling them, you know, it's okay to sin. You know, like, no, it's not okay to sin.
Right.
But I'm like, hey, but if that's what you want to do, that's between you and God. I couldn't get you into heaven, only you can.
Right.
I can try my best to help you, but if you don't want to see it my way, Oh well.
Mm-hmm. And see, I agree with you and Kivas both. The media in general, it plays a big part. Now, I do have a lesbian friend, and even in the lesbian and gay world, media is playing a part in that. Because from what she told me is, used to it would be, if you were gay, you were gay. If you were lesbian, you were lesbian. There was no in between. You had those bi people, but you was either this or you was either that. But she said now media has twisted it so much that instead of coming from a woman's point of view and lesbian point of view, you have these what they call fake gays, these fake lesbians. They doing it because the media is telling them to do it or showing them to do it, so they think it's cool for a woman to be with another woman. They think it's cool for a man to be with another man. So they go out and do these different sexual acts trying to get attention from people, making themselves like they're one thing when really it's just them getting attention.
Yes.
Yes. And like I said, I'm not in agreement with stuff like that either, but it is affecting media is affecting relationships as a whole.
Correct.
And she said she can't. It's hard for her to find a woman that is a mature, woman that has those aspects of wanting to date and not just trying to show out for attention. And that's where the dating, like Kivas, you said, I don't think the dating world is doomed already, but I think it's heading towards that point because media has got things so twisted that people think they have to do certain things. Like all these challenges people are doing, taking it to the extreme and stuff. Seeing women all the time shaking their booties, twerking on social media and stuff. People is this is one of the things I said on my the next podcast I did. I already done the episode for it. I already recorded it, but I'm coming back to this episode. But one of the things I said in that podcast was that people are taking ratchetness and they're glorifying that stuff. People taking disrespect and all that, and they're glorifying that stuff. People posting fights all the time and stuff. People getting shot up and stuff, and people are glorifying this stuff.
Well, yeah.
So I feel the same way you do. Both of you do. I feel like that's where dating is heading right now, and I feel like that's one of the main problems with dating is media.
Yeah.
And the piggyback on what you just said, Curtis, too, that goes back to what we were talking about earlier about the relationship roles. Media has projected so much for the roles of men and women that it's just gone crazy.
Right.
I mean, like I said, you got TV projecting men to be like this and women to be like that and vice versa. And, you just don't know what to believe now when it comes to media, social media and all that. So that's why I did say earlier, it's troubling and it could get worse.
And you're right on that, Kivas. Let's go into the Bible part of it. We know that the devil doesn't like families. He despises family. It's written in the Bible several times where he talks about despising family. So how does he destroy families? Well, the biggest way to destroy families is flip-flopping the roles. Male's supposed to be head of the household, but now you're noticing that females are starting to be more head of the household than men. You start to notice that females are acting more like men now, and that men are starting to act more prissy and stuff like females now. Like me, I like baggy pants, big pants and stuff like that. That's me. But now they got these real skinny jeans that are so skinny that it looks like that they're wearing tights for men.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got men sitting here growing their hair out and stuff like that. Not just growing it out, but making themselves look more like a female than they do a male.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then if you notice the females nowadays, look at how females act and walk now. You start noticing that they have more of a masculine walk, have a more masculine feel, the way that they talk.
And the way they look as well. I mean, most of the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes you don't know if you're looking at a man or a woman.
Right.
Nah, that's what I think.
Mm-hmm. And
I have
right.
a gay friend, but he's an actor, but I don't think he's looking for. One time he was looking for a relationship, but I'm like, hey, that's between you and God. But that's if that's what you want to be, you be that. But he's not the type of person, not the type of gay person that's just out there, just
mm-hmm.
Just flaunting, just wanting to say, come on, be gay, be gay, be gay. He's out there, he's an actor.
Mm-hmm.
He's an actor.
Right. And you got that, you got that now. Even my lesbian friend turned around and says that the LGBTQ, however, world is a joke because people is making up things to justify their actions. Like, you got men that are turning themselves into women, and because the world is so twisted, now you have to address them as a woman.
Mm-hmm.
But you was born with balls and a penis.
Right.
But we're still, you haven't got it chopped off yet. I know that sounds blunt, but you haven't got it chopped off, but now you want to be addressed as a woman?
Right.
You have these people talking about gender is not based on it. Really? Oh, I'm non-binary. What is non-binary? I don't want to be known as a man or a woman. Okay, then what are you then? And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to knock those type of people. I'm not, like Andrea says, if you want to live your life that way, live your life. That's between you and God. That's between you and whoever. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But don't turn around and try to bring that stuff onto somebody else. And that's another problem with the dating world. You want to bring your beliefs and press your beliefs on someone else.
Yep.
I'm a believer in God, the Bible, and I call myself a Christian regardless of the sins that I do.
Right.
Yep.
And I might, tell somebody about God and stuff, but I'm not fit to sit here and try to push you to be a Christian or go to church or be with God. I'm not going to do that. Because when you do stuff like that, it runs people away.
Okay.
And the Bible states that you're supposed to try to bring them to you. How are you bringing them to you when you're pressing, your beliefs on them?
That's it.
Yeah, that's true.
And before we move on, let me say this. Last night I was flipping through TikTok and stuff. I don't really get on TikTok as much as I used to, but there was this woman that used to be a lesbian, and she got saved, and she was still living a lesbian life at first, but then when the spirit hit her, she realized that that's not a life, and she had to break up with the girlfriend that she had been with a while. because she turned around and felt like that, or just knew that God didn't want her doing that. And the thing is, it wasn't nobody pushing her to get away from that life. She allowed God to touch her as she got out of that life. So a lot of times we shouldn't worry about pushing. If we turn them in the right direction, then God will handle the rest. We try to be God way too much.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's the way I feel about the atheists. I'm like I stated in my Christmas statement on Facebook, I'm like, hey, they say that they don't think God is real.
Mm-hmm.
But although he is real, because I'm like, hey, when you say, I love you, you're saying God. And I know that they love people.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, but they don't want to say God. But I'm like, hey, he's out there. You're worshiping God. You're just not worshiping God in the way that we're worshiping God.
Mm-hmm.
You're worshiping God.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yep.
So I'm like, yeah, you believe in God.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, I have close friends that are atheists and agnostic. Atheists, they don't believe there's a God at all, and agnostics believe that there's something, but not the God that we serve. And they're a close friend of mine, and they don't put their beliefs on me, and I don't put my beliefs on them. We have talked about it. It has came up, obviously, but we all agree with the same thing, is that as long as I don't push my beliefs on you, you're not going to push your beliefs on me. You believe what you want to believe, because at the end of the day, on my end, you'll see God for yourself.
Yep. Yep.
You will see God for yourself. So, we got to try to quit pushing our beliefs, even if you are LGBT or whatever. Just be that and quit trying to make other people fall in line with stuff like that. Because if you look on the flip side, you wouldn't want me coming up to you and say, homosexuality is wrong, even though it is. But you wouldn't want me to come up and keep pushing that issue. So don't be pushing your issues on me. Mm-hmm. We kind of got off topic. We're going back to dating. But that's some of the problems with dating today. Andrea, how do you think dating today can improve?
As I stated before, old school.
Mm-hmm.
Let someone else introduce that person to you. Let someone else bring that person into your life.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can be like, one day you're out grocery shopping by yourself.
Right.
Or popping gas by yourself. Mm-hmm. And you happen to make like a mistake or drop something, and this guy, helps pick something up for you, or you're walking in the store crooked in your buggy, bumps up against him or something. You're like, oh, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
He turns out, oh, that's okay. And then y'all start laughing or something. Some old school.
Right.
That's old school. I say old school.
Mm-hmm.
Old school way, please.
Right. And Kivas, what do you think?
Like you said, just going out there, I wouldn't say fully putting yourself out there, but at least putting yourself out there to where you're willing to talk to someone, you're willing to share with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, dating comes in phases.
Right.
You have your beginning phase, you have the phase in the middle, and then you have the other phases that go along with it as the relationship builds and everything.
Right.
You have to have that starting point.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like I said, social media can be, but at times right now it's just negative. It's not a starting point. Right. But what I would say to improve that, like I said earlier, social media can help, but you have to use it the right way. You have to.
Yeah,
If you're gonna use it the right way.
Okay.
And if you're not doing, and I'm sorry, if
Go
you're
ahead.
not
Go
doing
ahead.
social media, then like she said, old school way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just meet up with somebody. You'll see somebody, like says, in the store, church, anywhere.
Right.
Just get something started, get conversation started, see what you like, see what you don't like, And then as you start building, go out on a date or two. I mean, it'll come. It's just that it's what you get and what you give as well.
Right. For these listeners that doesn't understand what we mean by old school, because I understand, because I mean I'm old school as well. But for these listeners that doesn't understand what old school means, y'all list some of the ways of the old school in dating.
Well, I would say, especially back in high school, this was really, really big. Writing love letters.
Yeah.
Writing love letters.
Mm-hmm.
Asking someone, do they want to go out or, want to talk or something like that. Writing love letters, getting their phone numbers.
Yes.
Yes.
Even though you can get that today, easier with the cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
Write it on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Here's my name, here's my number. Call me. We'll talk later.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say too, talking on the telephone. Like I said, which we do now.
Mm-hmm.
But just talk to them, and then find a place where you want to meet at, and have dinner, have coffee, have something. It can start out as something little as having coffee, and then grow to like having dinner or something like that.
Mm-hmm. One thing you said, Kevis, and I hate to cut you off, but one thing you said was you said talking on the phone. And I see that a lot of times, people that are dating aren't talking on the phone a lot. They're doing more texting than talking. Nowadays, writing love letters would be writing a text to somebody, which is fine as long as you're doing it in a positive way. But like you said, Kevis, I feel like that people should talk on the phone and have a conversation. Because when you talk on the phone and have a conversation, you get an understanding.
Yes. Mm-hmm. You can actually hear it. You can hear their voice.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you hear their voice makes a connection with you.
Right.
Although you're not touching them, but to hear someone's voice, it's pleasant, it's kind, it's peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I feel too. And yeah, when Kiva said those love letters, because I still have love letters. Well, not love letters, but just letters I wrote to some of my old high school friends about a boy or something like that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's just something you can look back on too.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the first crush letter that I wrote to a guy. It was in 8th grade, but my goodness. Yeah. It's just, but talking on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Talking on the phone, yeah.
I mean, and back then, we actually talked.
Yes.
We actually talked. Nowadays, when you're getting in the dating world, and see, I don't know if y'all have had this experience before y'all started dating, but in my experience, getting back out in the dating world, it be these same questions like, do you have Facebook? Do you have Twitter? Do you have Instagram? How old are you? What is your favorite color? Can we go out? Can we have sex? And that's it. People don't have conversations anymore. Like, they don't talk about, well, you know what? I remember a time when I like basketball, and I had a friend that did this in basketball and stuff. They don't have those types of conversations anymore. It's basically a conversation to get little bit of information just to meet up, just to eat and have sex.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I did a podcast on I think it was the podcast, the sexual podcast, where I asked the question of, is it wrong or do you think it's messed up to have sex on the first date? And me personally, like I said, everybody is different. You know, I've known people that have had sex on the first date and they're still together and been together for years. And then I've known people that have waited and waited and waited, and when they finally had sex and stuff, it was messed up. Then I know people that had sex on the first date and that was it. And then I know people that waited for so long, and when they finally had sex, they was together for a long time. I know all aspects. So my thing is, when you talk about dating and old school, I think a lot of it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think a lot of it is the fact that people actually wanted to learn a person back then.
Yes.
I mean, y'all can tell me if I'm wrong or not, but
you're absolutely right, and that's the reason why phone calls are important, because having a true phone call, like you mentioned earlier, because you want to learn more about that person. You want to learn who she is, where she came from, family or whatnot, before you go out on that first date.
Right.
Because sometimes you never know too, if you be dating someone and it turns out you might be related or something like that. You just never know on that.
Mm-hmm. Or it turns out to be a serial killer.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Uh-huh.
But that's why it's so important too to not only know that person, but know that, because you know that person's voice on the phone, and when you finally see them out and about that first time and catch their voice, you're like, oh, here he is.
Mm-hmm.
There you are.
Yep. I was just about to say that, piggybacking off of what Andrea said, hearing somebody's voice not only makes you recognize that person, but you're knowing that person in a audio sense. You're knowing that person in a spiritual sense rather than just a visual sense. If you feel what I'm saying.
Right.
Yes.
So you know a person in all aspects rather than just the information that you're receiving.
Right. You're not assuming that what they're thinking or what they're saying is wrong or right.
Right. Okay, y'all. That was my last question. I'm gonna give y'all a chance to give final comments, and if y'all want to plug anything, any businesses or anything, y'all have a chance to do so as of now. Ladies first, Andrea.
Hey, honestly, I just like to thank you for this interview. Because it's good. It's actually helpful too, to really know how someone feels and everything.
Right.
It's good, and I've enjoyed it. I must say that as far as business wise, anyone can contact me if they want to. I'm on social media, Andrea Toot Shumpert.
Right.
For photography, basically for any kind of art thing that you want. And just hit me up.
Right.
If you want me to give my phone number, I can.
Right. Well, what I'll do is you can text me the number and your business name or your name that you go by and stuff like that. And what I'll do is I'll post it on my page, my Motivation Inspired page. And on top of that, I will post it on my personal page. And that way, anybody that wants to get in contact with her for pictures, I'll probably contact you for pictures. I want y'all to come to a wrestling show and take some pictures one day.
All right.
Okay.
So I'll
All
probably be contacting you soon. But you give me
Okay.
your information so you can send it through text or have Kiva send it through text, however you want to do it.
Okay.
And your email address and all that stuff.
Okay.
All right. And Kivas.
Oh, well, like she said, we thank you for this opportunity, and certainly, hopefully, what we said and what we shared in our relationship experience will help someone else get started in their relationship, and not only that, not only get started, but continue to grow their relationship.
Right.
This is, like I said, this is the experience that we're having, and so far, with the grace of God, I mean, it's going really well.
Right.
As we reach new levels and new heights of our relationship, I mean, it's just we just know that God's got us, but it's just going to take a lot of work, and that's what relationships is all about. It takes work.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Again, thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I have.
Okay, Andrea and Kivas, I am very grateful and thankful for y'all, not just for doing my podcast, but for y'all being a blessing in my life. Andrea, I'm just really getting to know you more, and I'm pretty sure I get to know more of you. Kivas, like I said, you've always been a good friend. And I really appreciate all you do for me, even if it's just me calling you and venting to you. Because there's been a lot of nights where I say, Kivas, I just want to vent to you.
Right.
And you've sat there graciously and listened, and you give me your wisdom on things. And if I hadn't said it before, I really appreciate you being that good friend. And Andrea, I appreciate you for building Kivas up and supporting him and being the wife that I know you're going to be to him.
Yay!
Yes. Again, Kivas, Andrea, thank you. And we will be seeing y'all later.
All right. Thank you, Curtis. Enjoyed it.
No problem. God bless y'all.
God bless you as well.
Kivas and Andrea, I'd like to thank y'all so much for that interview. And I'm not going to really hold y'all much longer. I think I've held y'all long enough. The only announcements I have is tune in to episode 9 and the recap episode for your announcements. And also keep in mind we have a show January the 6th. That's January the 6th. And make sure you attend that show. And our YouTube binge song of the week is called Wicked Games by The Weeknd. This song has been a song that I've been listening to. I used to listen to it a lot, and I just recently came back across from it. So I hope that you enjoy it too. And that is all for our episode. I would like to thank you for tuning in. And as always, I hope that I have done something to inspire and motivate your life one more time.